2025 was one of my favorite years in business. It was tough as hell. It was a lot going on, but it was one of my most challenging and profitable years yet. So in this video, I'm gonna be going down all the shit I did right, everything I did wrong, and what I'm doing to prepare myself to hit some new goals in 2026. Let's get into it. Hopefully leave here with some value. So 2025 was one of those years where we really exceeded goals as a business. I had one business that I was looking to take from doing 800K in 2024, and the goal was set at $3 million for 2025. We smacked that goal out the water. We crushed over $5 million in that business, so we really exceeded it. This year, the goal is on paper is 12 mil, but the real goal for this business is $18 million this year. So we're looking at over 3x this bad boy, and there's a lot of shit that I gotta change to actually get there. One of the first things that I have to do, I have this real big issue, is I'm always looking for I'm like a fiend looking for the next hit. I'm always looking to try some new shit. And the issue is, as a founder, is when you have something that's working, run it fuck up. Like, I'm very grateful for my team for always keeping me in my box and being like, shut the hell up and just do what's working. One of the things that absolutely crushed for us in 2025 into 2026 is running webinars, right? It has been like the bread and butter and the backbone of our business. And we have the room to really scale that up to like 1.5, 2, even 2.5 mil a month if we play our cards right. So primary focus, if anyone who's in the same bucket as me, primary focus, if you have something bringing you in money, run it up into whatever ceiling you can, because let's be real, nothing works forever. But if it's working now, bringing you money, print freaking cash. So what I'm doing is building my whole team. My primary focus is run our webinar up, double revenue in the next 60 days, and going over a lot of things I'm gonna talk about later in this video to make that a reality. The other thing that I'm doing, right? Of course, you do what's already working, but the other thing is you need to spend some time and some money testing new things. Where I see a lot of people fuck up is they have something that's crushing, it's going well, but they're never trying anything new. At least 10% of your time, 10% of your budget should be going to something that might work. It might not work, but if you have capital coming in where you can afford to risk a little bit of that and gamble it, go ahead and gamble it, because you never know. So one thing that we're testing is going to be new funnels, right? We're going to test a VSO funnel. Do I have a lot of faith in it? I'll be real with you. I fucking hate VSO funnels with cold traffic, but we're still going to test that bad boy, right? We're going to try to run up to a few hundred K a month. If it works, great. If not, no big deal. We'll move on. IGDM funnel, one that I really, 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 really freaking like, because it's low friction, high content on the front end, and you can get some really good leads coming in. So we're testing the IGDM funnel. The funnel I'm most excited to test, but I really don't know how to do it that well, is a low to high ticket funnel. I really love ascension ladders like that, where someone can meet you, come in at a low price point, see what you have, get to understand it, get a lot of value, and then get upsold. It's an easier sell to sell someone who's already bought something from you. So I don't necessarily know how to do a low to high ticket funnel that well, but I'm going to be testing it. I'm going to spend some time. And if I can't crack it in the next 30 to 45 days, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take some of that money and I'm going to invest in somebody who knows a lot more than me. It's a pay to play market. If someone knows more than me, you're damn right, better believe I'm going there to figure out what they know, have them implement it, learn it along the way, and get that knowledge for myself, that knowledge transfer. But focus on what's working, take a little bit of that budget, a little bit of that time and energy, and try some new shit, because you never know what's going to happen. Right? My main goal is, instead of having this one funnel take up right now, that's 85 to 90% of our revenue, I'm going to really try to get it down to like 60 to 7. So we're not as reliant on these live webinars where I got to do every fucking thing in a book every day and week. Especially because this year I'm getting married in a few months. And the thing is, like, as you probably already know, that shit's going to take up a lot of time and energy, and I'm going to get burnt out. So I got to make sure that even if I'm burnt out, even if I'm busy, we're still filling up the calendars and bringing in money. So that's what testing these new funnels are going to do for us. Next thing is going to be one of the things that, since we started our first business back in 2020, our Amazon FBA business, is our whole team has always been remote. They've been primarily in the Philippines. So it's very hard to build culture, as I'm sure you probably know, with people that you never have seen in your freaking life. It's just on Zoom and Slack and WhatsApp messages and trying to build culture. Now, we have a team in the US now, which is a lot different, right? A, they get paid a shit ton more. B, they're not more competent, but they're more like dialed in to actually want to grow the business. So what I want to focus on big time this year is team building, right? Actually getting people that like each other, be on the same page, same culture. And what that comes with is, here's the thing, right? A lot of people, when they get into business, they have this scarcity fucking mentality where it's like, I don't want to pay people. But the thing is that when you pay somebody right, like, and you treat them right and you have a good culture, they retain. They work like it's their business and you get to grow together. So here's how I kind of look at it. Two sides of the coin, right? One, hire the best people that you can afford, because hiring isn't like, yes, technically it's a cost, like money comes out of your bank account, but if someone provides you more value, you make that money up on the other side of it. So a big deal with me is I'm either A, trying to hire for the best freaking talent I can find, and I'm actively always in hiring mode. If I get a better sales rep, we just hired a new COO. If I get a better sales trainer, a better content person, all these, I'm going to hire the best people I can find, because that's what accelerates the growth and makes it even easier. If I can't find those people or it doesn't work out, because just because someone's talented doesn't mean that what you have to offer is going to be their primary focus. So you might not be getting the best results from them. If you ever work with an agency, that shit always happens with agencies. I can't tell you how many agencies I've burned through and I want to fucking strangle them out because they suck. If I can't find these people, no big deal. Next thing we're going to do is actually train. So this week we spent about 72K on just new training, right? Training for me in terms of getting better at marketing. Training for me in terms of getting better at content. Training for my sales manager to get better at sales training, automations, all of these things, just really reinvesting into the business to make the job as easy as possible. Training and fucking hiring. This is a primary focus in 2026, and it's going to make everything so much easier. I will say one thing about this, right? What I see with a lot of people is they have a goal. Like, let's say your goal is to have a business that does 300, 500K a month, right? So they start getting close to that goal or to hit that goal, they start getting this scarcity mentality. Like, they're trying to just hoard all this cash. And while you should keep your cash, you need the money. You need to be able to play ball a little bigger. One of the things that makes this really easy is get into rooms with people that make a lot more money than you. Like, one of the groups I'm in, there's people doing $5 million a month, $7 million a month, $10 million a month, people doing $200 million a year. Guess what? I'm only at seven figures a fucking month. I feel like a little baby guppy, right? Even though not a lot of businesses hit that fucking number, I still feel like a guppy because I'm in a room with people that do so much more than me. They're talking about buying planes and shit. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll take this first class flight or not. You know what I'm saying? So when you're in the bigger rooms, you start thinking bigger. Like, even today, they're talking about fucking buying a yacht. I'm like, that sounds good, right? So get in a room with bigger people who make more money than you, humble yourself, drop the ego, and what's going to happen is you're automatically going to start leveling up to their level just because you're around them. So hiring, training, investing, this is all shit that I think we did pretty well in 2025, but it's because I'm always in hiring mode. I'm always looking for talent and building on that team culture. Now, speaking of team culture, this has been something that was so, I think, kind of something I didn't really think about. And it was a book I read from Patrick Bet-David. It's called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. And he's talking about all the things he did with his team. And he focuses so heavily on building team culture. Another book I read that talks about this is called The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. We got it from our trainer in something called EOS, Entrepreneurs Operating System. It was like homework. And I didn't realize how important team culture was because I was always hiring from abroad. And when you hire from abroad, you really have like a bunch of mini U's, little assistants, but you don't have people that can really go out there and think on their own. So one thing we did last month, this is now January 2026, we did it in December, is majority of our sales team and my co-owners, and we all flew out to Cali. We went there for a meeting, but then we met the team in person. Just meeting people in person, being able to understand them, understand their goals, and really set everyone on the same team. What it immediately did, it had an immediate return. Like, we probably spent maybe 20K or 25K on the entire trip. But what happened was our average like return on ad spend in our business tends to be around 3 to about 3.4%. I'm sorry, 3.4x, right? Immediately after that trip, that shit over doubled. For the rest of December, even up until now, we're operating at about a 7x ROAS. Why? Did something change? No. Everyone knows ad costs go up at the end of the year. But what really dialed in is everyone was acting on the same team. Everyone was challenging each other, operating better, acting like they want to win. Everyone wants to make more money. Everyone wants to build their knowledge base, right? And it had an immediate effect on revenue. So I'm sitting here like, oh shit, this really does play a role. How do you keep this energy going for a whole year? So getting creative with ways to keep the team challenged, right? More like literally competitions going on, more meetups, more training, investing in them. It's going to have an effect on your business. And if you think over the span of like, hey, damn, I got to go shell out this money, that's a scarcity mentality. That's what's going to keep you limited. So pushing our entire leadership team to think in a way of like this entrepreneur mindset where like spend the money if it has a net result on the other side of it and building a culture where it's all about self-growth. One thing that always resonates in my mind, you should train your team so well that they can leave, right? They have the ability to go get something else, but treat them so well that they want to stay, right? So investing in them is going to be so freaking big going into this year. It's something we did okay with, but not like we're going to do this year. Now, next thing is this is something I've struggled with, and I was just arguing with my partner. One thing we both suck at and we have to come to terms with is because we primarily hire from overseas, we have this fear of like what I call letting go of the vine. We always have our hands in every freaking pot. We always have to make every decision. And as a business owner, right, or even as a manager, there's something called decision fatigue, right? If you look at Steve Jobs, why the hell did Steve Jobs do the same thing every damn day? Because that was a decision that he didn't want to have to make, right? Everything you take off your plate allows some more bandwidth up here to make higher level decisions. Now, I'm not going to do the same thing every day. Maybe some days, but not every damn day. But the more I trust the team to make decisions and literally let go of the vine and say, hey, you got to make that decision, not me. The easier it is for my day to just focus on what's the highest leverage task for me. Get your hand out the bucket. And this comes with hiring and training the people correctly so that you actually trust them to make that decision. Now, on the other side of the coin is people are people. We all fuck up. There will be mistakes. So you have to be okay with people making mistakes. But that is part of the trust that has to be built. If someone is afraid to make a mistake and afraid to make a decision, then you will have your hand in every bucket. And this is where I see a lot of people die at a relatively low business number. Like I just have one of my clients and stuck in like that 100 to 200K and literally every bucket, every bucket, every bucket, every bucket. So you have no time to actually do the highest leverage thing that only you can do. Now, that can be different for everyone, right? For me, the highest leverage thing I can do is get better at communication, do more content. That drives up revenue. That's my marketing, right? That's my zone of quote unquote genius right now. But if I'm in fulfillment and finance and ops and automation, then I'm like this, like I'm literally like this toolbox. But I don't want to be that. I have to be a one-trick pony, right? I have to be that good at that one thing and outsource everything else around me. That's how they're going to grow. Now, in addition to letting go of the vine, here's the other thing that I sucked at in 2026. I sucked at this. Horrible. It was one of my biggest L's. And it comes down to scheduling, right? My schedule was so sporadic. I moved from New York to Michigan. I traveled a lot to go see my friends, my family, and I'm always like on the move. Like even last year, from November, right before Thanksgiving, until literally about January 3rd, I wasn't even home. So I was just moving around, doing these things, and my schedule was so erratic. It was different days I was shooting content. It was different days I was taking calls. It was different days I was doing everything. And while stuff was still getting done, I was always in this like frantic stage. And what it did is, honestly, full transparency, what it did was not allow me to be like the best outside of work. So I still want to have time with my mom. I still want to have time with my fiance. I still want to have time to myself. And because like I would sometimes wake up at 6 in the morning, sometimes go to the gym, sometimes I wake up late, sometimes I work in the morning, sometimes I work out later, sometimes I eat later, sometimes I'll step until 11, sometimes up until 12, sometimes I go to sleep at 10. Shit was all over the fucking place, right? My schedule was so erratic that while I was getting stuff done, I wasn't being efficient. And what happens is like, even on a relationship level, what it would do is I would spend so much time working that I'm not spending time with my fiance. She getting pissed off. She's in the other room right now. She's probably yelling at me later, but she getting pissed off. We're not on the same page. That causes a bottleneck. Now I'm frustrated at work. This shit was a leaky fucking faucet that I had to realize it is my fault. I need structure. Structure is what allows me to grow. Structures allow me that I can dial off work at 6 p.m. like I'm about to in a second and literally spend time with her and do all these things that make this whole thing go. Now, I will say this, right? This is the one caveat. Depending on where you are in business, there's different seasons. If you are in a season where you are in fucking grind mode and you need to hit a certain number and that is priority, you will be a little out of whack and be okay with that. Shit was out of whack. I had a lot going on, moving, getting engaged, all this shit, and I'm okay with doing that for a while. But as soon as you can start getting things in order, like you have financial leverage and time leverage, get your schedule in order. Right now, my schedule is freaking dialed in starting next week. Everything has a time block. Everything has a zone. And anything outside of that, it's not happening, right? Get your schedule in order. Now, the next thing that goes along with that, which I'm super excited for, is for the first time, I'm going to have an executive assistant. I've had an assistant for about 3 years now. I'm remote. And while it's been great, it's not what I need right now. I need an in-person assistant who is literally handling my calendar, responding to people, freeing up time for me. I can't tell you how many hours I spend just responding to dumbass messages all the time. My phone's on D&D half the time, but people calling me at random times, right? I'm on the phone at random times. They're bothering me throughout the day. And shit's just all erratic. So my executive assistant, when they come in the next 2 weeks, sole purpose is nobody can talk to me unless they absolutely can have to, or they're on the leadership team, or it's like an emergency family or some shit like that, right? In these time blocks, will be times where I'm completely offline. I'm focused on the task at hand and I'm doing it to the 100% of my ability. Outside of that, that executive assistant is going to funnel things that actually have to get to my desk or put it on a to-do list, on a task like Todoist, so that I can just go and literally respond, have her respond to them, or I can go in and actually handle it. So that buffer is what's going to free up a tremendous amount of time. Now, like I said, you don't start there. That's leverage that you need to create when you either have capital or just the bandwidth to do it. Like you have the right people where you can start letting go of the vine and get in that. But I'm really looking forward to that. That's something that if you're in that predicament, I would highly, highly freaking recommend. And then the last thing that this was another thing I really sucked at in 2025, right? But this is going to be the biggest level I think I can pull this year is a personal brand. Now, we have an online business. All our businesses have always been online, but they never required like an online presence until we launched our offer back in February 2024. Now, what you see a lot of people in the info product coaching spaces, most of them start the reverse way. They build a personal brand, they're posting, people are interested, they somehow, figure out a way to monetize it, and great. And then eventually they tap out on their organic presence, or maybe they don't, but then they start getting into paid ads. I took the exact opposite way. I guess similar to like Hormozy did back then, right? Is I suck at content. Don't like it, especially short form. I think it's fucking retarded. I don't know how you get a point across in 60 seconds. Kudos to people who can. I cannot, right? So I went paid from the beginning. So paid is math. I put $1 in, I build the right machine, I get $3, $4, $7 out the other side. That makes sense. Not sporadic, like I need views and X, Y, Z. But at that same token, we all know when you don't have to pay for something, right? Free traffic, as long as you use social media, right? It's a lot more profitable. Paid personal brands have longevity, right? So what I'm doing is I'm going to tell my partners we're taking a portion of our budget and we're investing into growing our personal brands, because this is something that is a lever we can pull. Maybe we can't pull in the next 3 months, the next 6 months, 9 months, but in the next year, we will build something substantial that will add a lot more depth to what we do. Like right now, if my Facebook ad account goes down, do I have backups? Yeah, but if something happens to Facebook marketing for whatever reason or another channel, like we're like dead fish in the water, right? So we're diversifying on other platforms like TikTok, like YouTube, like Google, like all these things, right? We're really trying to build a moat where we don't have to, if anything goes down, we're not dead in the water. But personal brand is something that when you build, you have an email list that you hold, you have all these things that, and people that trust you, that if you need to monetize it at a certain point or just build this big audience where you can do like whatever you want with, as long as you're building the right kind of stuff, you can always utilize. So personal brand is going to be a big deal this year. Didn't start with it, right? Even speaking to the person I'm hiring right now, he literally told me, dude, I'm gonna need you to shoot content 6 to 7 hours a week. I wanted to slap him over Zoom because I shoot content like 1-2 hours a week. I'm like, you want me to triple the amount of content I gotta do? I'm like, you know what? Let's do it for now. But what that requires me is getting better people in place to take a lot more off the plate, which we are at that predicament now. But it just came with hiring. Not the highest lever. Make the money first, but if you can focus on personal brand, that's what I'm doing. I think it is one of the biggest levers you can pull when it comes to longevity. So this is everything that I'm working on 2026. What's going well, what has gone absolutely freaking horrible. And look, at the end of this, when I make this video next year, pretty sure we'll get there, but hopefully we're talking about what the hell we did and what worked at, what didn't to get us to 18 mil run rate. Hope this helped. See you later. And if you have a high ticket offer, a coaching program, and you're looking to scale it using paid traffic and you really can't figure everything out, you're really looking for someone to at least consult you or help you build out the right funnels to scale to that multi-6, maybe even 7-figure mark, look, hit the link below, book a call. We're doing it for a while, doing over 7-figure a month in our info product offer consistently. So if you want, hit that link below. We'll connect, see if we can help. Later.